There we go. And record. How's it going, everybody? This is Tim,
And Paul from Burn Academy.
and we are doing the podcast Buns and Thighs, and we kind of merge our recordings together, and you can find us on both sources, Burn Academy and personaltrainerandcompany.com. And we are going to be talking about a few different things today. Today's going to be a little different. We're going to do a few updates on what's going on with the business and discuss victories in fitness and a few other things. So, first things first, Paul, anything new with you? Anything going on? Business
Let's
or
see,
otherwise?
fitness related. Yeah, fitness related, not so much.
Okay.
Everything's still going the same. Still training in person and online, and yeah, that's pretty much about it for that. Just lots of Star Wars stuff going on and expanding that.
So I know that this is probably a burning question for Burning Academy. Are you ever going to go back on stage?
Yes, so I actually want to start getting ready in September for a January show that'll happen where I'm at. So it'll be the same show that I won in 2018, and because I didn't I didn't renew my pro card in 2020 because there was so much going on, there weren't really any shows happening, and it just kind of was pointless for me to renew because I wasn't going to compete. So now I have to start all over again, and I've got to start from the bottom and work my way up to become a pro. So I'm going to redo the show that I did and won so that I can get the pro card and then start competing for money again.
So that's actually out of my depth when it comes to all that. What's the process of like if somebody wanted to become a bodybuilder, what would be the process of like obtaining the elusive pro card and actually finding a competition to actually go to near them and all that?
Yeah, so you really want to find an organization that is going to work for you. And for me, it was OCB because OCB was in the city, came to the city that I was in, and I wanted to stick my foot in and just try to, you know, see where I was in my physique. And eventually I wound up in my first show winning it outright and becoming a pro that day because when you win overall completely, then you become a pro in Naturals OCB. So OCB is just a Naturals organization. They drug test you immediately once you get off stage. Like when they say you won, they give you the trophy, and then as you're walking backstage, they grab your hand and take you to the bathroom to go ahead and take a piss test.
Here, go piss in this cup,
Literally,
or we're taking this
literally.
trophy back.
Yeah, I was like, wait, can I go grab my phone real quick? And they're like, technically, you're not allowed to do that, but I'm looking at you. Go get your phone and come back because they don't want you to grab like fake pee and come into that.
I
You
got
know,
you. Were you expecting
yeah.
that, or did they kind of bombard you and surprise you with that?
No, I mean, I was a little surprised, but they do a polygraph test to begin with to make sure that you're not lying before the
Whoa.
competition happens, and then you do the competition, and then if you win, you get drug tested. But the second time I went to my first pro show, I was talking to the guy who was doing the lie detection test and the polygraph, and I was one of his last people before lunch break, and so we both just we finished up and we started walking down together, just talking, and when we went to the sign in room, the promoter guy looked at me walking in with the polygraph guy and was like, "Oh no, did you do something?" And I was like, "No, you really think I'm on something?" And so yeah,
Fraternizing
they
with the
kind of
enemy.
yeah, they were like, "Oh no, did you fail the polygraph?" And I was like, "Nah, he's just coming for lunch." So yeah, it's a very fun thing, but in order to really find what you want to do, you just have to I would suggest finding a posing coach for sure. That should be one of the first things you do, probably even 5 months out before you even get onto the stage, because you've got to get that. You've got to get your poses down, you've got to get your routine down, and you've got to make sure that your muscle mind connection is pretty on point. Because if it's not, and you're up there looking like an idiot because you don't know how to pose, then it's going to show. And if it doesn't look natural, then they're not going to look at you um, like a pro in a way. So I want to make sure that if you're going up there, you need to know what you're doing.
I've seen a few bodybuilding competitions, and they are they always do some really cool choreographing. What's been your approach to the choreographing and like the music choice and all that?
So for an amateur show, you don't have to do anything to music, but for your pro show that they want you to, at least for OCB. So and with men's physique, it was a little weird because I know for um, what is it for not 212. Oh my goodness, and it's not bodybuilding. Classic physique, that's what it was. So
Mm.
for classic physique, you've got to go through a routine and you got to show off everything. Now, for me, for the first pro show, I had to do that to music, which was really weird, and I was not expecting that. So I just went through a few of my little things on one side of the stage, then went to the other side of the stage, did the same thing, went back to the middle, did whatever, and yeah, that's really it. There was nothing like crazy you had to make up. And then your song choice is just whatever you want. And I was about to try to go with the Pokemon theme song, wanna be the very
Nice.
best. Yeah. So I actually think I went with Dr. Dre and one of
For
his
those of you that
songs.
don't know, me and Paul are super nerds.
Oh
Like
yeah.
mega nerds.
I am all about that Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, Star Wars, all that good stuff.
Oh
But
yeah.
yeah, it's a fun thing to do. Like I said, you really just need to practice your poses, your front pose, your side pose, and your back pose, and you just need to make sure that you know how to do a lat spread, which is very difficult for a majority of people to do. It once you pick it up though, it becomes natural.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something you got to really start practicing. And vacuums, vacuums, if you can start doing those, that's very highly recommended.
How would someone go to look up how to pose and all that?
Really, I would get someone in person
Hmm.
because if you find someone on YouTube or anything like that, it's easy to kind of see their routine, what they're doing, and kind of hear what they're talking about. But to apply it and to have someone rearrange your body or like touch you to shift maybe something here and there and give you a true idea of what to do, that is recommended. But, this is what I did. I went online and I looked at, Ryan Terry and Jeremy Buendia and a whole bunch of other men's physique competitors and just saw what they did, how they posed, saw what I liked, and then mimicked it. And then in the coaching sessions of my posing coaching sessions, I basically did what they did. And then the guy tweaked it a little bit or said, here's something you need to do. And then holding a pose for like 30 seconds it, to make sure that you've got it down is what we did a lot of because, you're up there for even 8 to 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes going through poses while they're judging you. And if you start to get too tired in the middle of that and you start slacking off, then you're going to start moving out to the edges to like fourth, fifth, sixth place instead of being in the middle where you want to be.
That must
So
be
yeah,
exhausting being on stage and posing the entire time.
yeah, because people are sweating their nuts off and they're sweating their tan off, and you just see everybody like just
Sweating their tan off.
drenched. Yeah. You see people with like sweat marks coming all the way down. They got to redo their tan and stuff. But you're flexing for like 15, 20 minutes nonstop. And so you're also in the heat of lights. So you really gotta make sure you know what you're doing.
I know we're kind of getting in the weeds over here about the bodybuilding. This is interesting. What would you say that your 2 week prep towards getting on stage was, and is there any modifications that you would make for this future show?
Yeah, so I did my first two shows without a actual coach, like a coach for food, diet, and for my workouts. I only had a posing coach. So I did all my workouts and I did all my nutrition for it. And if there's something I could do differently, it would be to get a coach to help me more with nutrition and leading up to that week of the competition because some coaches like to do the dehydration method, which is what I did, and some people don't. And then, you're cutting out your carbs until that day, and then your protein intake that day has to be on point. Your carbs have to be on point because the vascularity from the carbs kind of help. And yeah, there's so much to the nutrition aspect that I had no clue about that I was told afterwards that if, I looked flat on a few of my poses and a little bit on the pro show day, I did not pop
You didn't
like
carb
everybody
load?
else because yeah, my nutrition was not there. So I just looked small and like there was no true definition, but you could see that I had muscle, but it just wasn't right. So that is something that I'm gonna have to make sure that I get right next time.
Okay. If and this is for the audience too. Have you ever heard of Adam Schafer?
He is the elite physique coach.
He's actually one of the three at Mind Pump, and
Oh yeah, okay.
he's one in the trio. He's the bodybuilding expert, and he does an entirely natty approach, and he really loves the science of the month beforehand, the 6 months leading up to it, and the salt, water, carb, basically uh, manipulation. That's the probably the correct word for that. And like making sure that the muscle bellies are full of glycogen, all of that. And if anybody wanted to like look up if they didn't know where to start, and you mentioned some names that I've never heard of, and if somebody's getting into fitness and they're like, I want to be a bodybuilder, they probably have never heard of them either, and then they'll look up the famous people. I would direct them towards Adam Schafer, and since you've won, you. So
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
yeah.
definitely, I'm looking forward to hearing more about the prep towards this new stage, and especially on the podcast, and kind of like keep tabs with you on your journey towards this. Do you know when it's going to be?
So the competition is in January, and the you won around 3 months to make sure you're getting ready. So truly, like, let's see, October, November, December, but then it sometimes it's either mid January, early January, or just late January. Last time I think it was on my birthday, so
Hmm,
kind of more late January. So I think if as long as I'm getting set by October to get started, and then I should be good. But I'm probably going to start a month early just to make sure that I I'm doing it right. And so the holidays are going to be really tough because I'm not going to be able to eat and splurge. I'm going to have to make sure that I'm, being diligent with what I eat and getting ready for that peak week to compete. Yeah. And I'll keep you updated as soon as I've got a coach here who I actually introduced him to OCB, and now he actually like won the entire league
hmm,
at the Yorton Cup and went first in physique. And yeah, he's been killing it. So I'm gonna wind up hiring him as my coach
nice.
for the same competition I entered him in or got him into. And yeah, is going to be very interesting to finally have someone because I've never had a coach for working out or nutrition, just posing. So
I,
it'll be
I,
very interesting.
I'd be interested in the conversations you guys have because I think trainers are the worst clients.
Yeah. I honestly think that they're going to be really good because they understand, or at least I'm going to understand why he's giving me these exercises, and I'm going to understand how to execute them right. And so I'm going to make sure that whatever he gives me is good, but I tend to not listen to what people give me
Yeah.
because I'm like, I kind of know what I'm supposed to do, and I know that this really works. So kind of letting go and following the routine to the T might be tough for me because I'm gonna want to manipulate it to what I like,
Right.
but I'm gonna try to trust the process.
So, if anybody is wanting to keep tabs on Paul's progress towards this competition, stay tuned because we're going to talk about it a lot.
Oh yeah.
So that actually kind of alludes to one of the topics I wanted to talk about, which is uh, having a client listen to you completely, or having the client listen to you and then they also try to add their own stuff into it. Because we train really intelligent people. Like they're not dummies, and the fact that they want to better themselves health wise and want to get into the science of it, that shows wonders and bounds towards what kind of person they are. And some of the challenges as a trainer is to convince a highly intelligent person that this is the way. And I have a few clients like that, and they're wonderful people, and they've actually seen some victories lately. Gabe, he doesn't mind me mentioning him on the podcast. He it took a minute, but we finally got the nutrition dialed in, and since I control his workout, I know that it is matching the nutrition regimen that I've assigned to him, and he is immediately dropping weight, immediately gaining muscle, and that sweet spot where you're gaining muscle and losing weight and losing fat at the same time, that's a very delicate balance. All the stars have to align perfectly. Even with sleep, stress, like all the things have to be perfect. And then you get into that sweet spot of just a roaring metabolism. And he experienced it for the first time himself. And I think that discovery is the best way to learn. If you find it out yourself, you'll know it forever. And yeah, other people have different learning, avenues. Some people are visual learners, some people are audience learners, and all the other types of learning. But I think discovery applies to everybody. And so he experienced it for the first time, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" And he came in just beaming, smile ear to ear, and he was like, "Hey, so I feel stronger. My wife said that I look hotter, and I've had comments. Those external comments, those are very meaningful." And so he's very on board, and so he's like, "Whatever you say, Tim, I got you." I'm like, "All right."
Good,
Yeah.
good.
And so it's always a good feeling as a trainer to see your clients flourish and progress, especially when you know that most of their life they've just been chasing their own tail, trying to fat manage and things like that. And just I wanted to mention it because it means a lot to me that when I see my clients progress, and it happens at a different rate per client, and we had a breakthrough, and it was fantastic. So I just wanted to
Well,
mention that
and
on the podcast.
yeah, no, and speaking of all of that, like you've got your own gym, and so you've got a lot of, business growth that you've been learning and just a lot of expansion that you're going through. If you want to elaborate a little bit on that, that'd be nice to hear, just to kind of see what a gym owner has to go through and stuff like that.
Yeah. You asked that, or you say that, and I'm trying to think of the first thing to talk about because I go in phases. Let's put it that way. And I've been doing this. I'm opening a gym and having my own company and being a fitness professional and leader not just in my gym, but in the city, and hopefully someday the state, and hopefully someday one of the leaders in the country. Um, I You have to plan, and you have to plan years in advance. And the way that I do it is I have a whiteboard, and if there's a wild idea that I want, I put it in big with a star right there, and then I start to research. And this may be frowned upon, or the people that know will think this is genius. ChatGPT is a great resource for technical questions, especially if you typed into ChatGPT, how do I open an LLC in Colorado? It will give you the full list, and that is part of my research, process. I make the list. I put little squares so that I can put a check uh, after each, completion. And I'm done with phase one of the second chapter of this entire plan, which is opening a gym. I opened the gym, and it's now cash flow positive. That was a goal of mine, and it's been cash flow positive for a couple months now. And we opened in November 1st, so that was 5 months ago, and leading on to the
Nice.
6 month next month. So that was a huge win for me. And now I'm in phase two, which is the basically research and development kind of phase where I'm like, okay, I got the gym. I have successful clients. I have a good reputation so far. Everything is going great. Um, I have a zero, I forget the word for it, but no one's left. I've retained everybody.
Retention rate?
Yeah,
You got no
I
one
have a
leaving
hundred.
yet?
I have 100% retention rate. I have a zero attrition. There we go. I have a 0%
Okay.
attrition rate, and that's almost unheard of in the fitness industry. And everyone is loving everything. So this gives me stability, and it gives me opportunity to think of more ideas. And so the phase that I'm at right now is research and development, but it's kind of evolved into learning expansion. And when people think expansion, they think of more buildings, more gyms. I'm not quite there yet, but what I mean by expansion is depth. So we're going to be selling right now. We sell personal training, obviously, memberships, 24-hour access for everybody, online PDFs, the app, and basically it's all towards training. I'm right now I'm in the stage of listing out all the different avenues of revenue streams, and it's called cash flow wallets per client. So I'm looking for selling supplements, and I'm trying to learn how the best way to do that, which there's a lot of technicalities for that. If I'm going to sell supplements, I need a sales tax license. Surprisingly, in Colorado, you don't need one for services or memberships. But if you sell actual items or products, you do have to have one. So that's going to be the number one thing. But that's going to be easy. That's just paperwork. I'm looking for, I want the reputation of my gym and my company to be all of the best quality, and not just the best quality, but we're paired with nice people and good people too that I like to work with and would want to, drink a beer with. So I'm looking for a supplement company right now that I would even choose the good, like, home kind of values over a little bit of margin, just because I want everyone at the table to, be friendly, no bad reputation, all that. And so I'm looking to sell supplements, but I'm looking for, and that applies to all the things I'm about to list. I'm looking to sell supplements. We sell right now UCAN, which is a great company. They started the company by basically inventing a new way to refine complex carbohydrates, and it was made for somebody with glycogen storage disease. And it's a way that diabetics, glycogen storage disease, Hashimoto's, anybody with any kind of blood sugar or hormonal defect is a harsh word, but that's the actual word for it, towards glucose and blood sugar, they can take UCAN. And even if somebody doesn't have that kind of disease and they are needing carbs and they're wanting to work out, but they want to stay in like ketosis because they're on the keto diet, it will not bump you up out of ketosis. It'll actually keep your blood sugar level and you will actually be more powerful in the gym, all that. So I love that. And I also love the people. They check both of the boxes. We're good. We actually had Ranchland Farms walk into my gym the other day, and they sell grass-fed, grass-finished ground beef. And they wanted to partner with us. And they're really cool people, and they have a great product. I get paid in meat. And so I'm like, all right. And
Yeah, especially with meat prices nowadays.
right. And we're going as low as $6.79 a pound for grass-fed, grass-finished. That is insane. And
Yeah.
I'm a tsunami when it comes to marketing and business. And so I was like, cool, got you. I immediately got a 70-pound order. And they were like, oh, that's awesome. And I was like, okay, I'll get another 100 pounds next week. And they're like, hold on, we only have so many cows. Like
Yeah.
like they actually asked me to slow down on it, but they're super excited about like the way that I do business. It's kind of, I don't know if this is derogatory or not, but it's a good compliment. I do business the Chinese way, where I want to sit down with you, I want to hang out with you, we become friends, and then as friends we talk about business. And so we have a good rapport already, me and Ranchlands meet, and they're like, okay, so let's slow down and let's actually trickle the meat orders and just make sure everyone likes the product. And we'll wait, because grass-fed, grass-finished meat, there's less fat in it. So the expectation of ground beef is that it's super tasty and greasy. That's not the case for grass-fed, grass-finished because there's less fat. There's smaller cows because there's no hormones and no grain fattening them up. And so you have to know what you're ordering, basically, if you're going to eat it and like it, which I will. Because if I know enough about grass-fed, grass-finished, you can actually cure eczema if you have eczema and it's caused by grain-fed meat, and you have a skin disorder or a skin infection, anything, and it's caused by that. If just by switching over to grass-fed, grass-finished, you you will clear it up immediately because it's the inflammation and the chemicals inside it that's causing it. And so there's a lot of benefits to it. But that gave me the idea of starting a meal prep business and a meal prep department. And it's going to be, and I actually had a second farm try to contact me, and they sell poultry and all of it's grass-fed, grass-finished. They sell pork, poultry, and some others. And so it gave me the idea to be paid in meat, cut the cost of my meal prep by putting that meat into the meal prep instead of other meat, I can also label it saying it's all grass fed, grass finished, grain, um, chemical free. And I'm also starting to look up how to above board sell meal prep. I'm going to need a commercial kitchen, shared rental space that is licensed. I'm going to need my licenses, which is food handling, food safety, the FDA approved license, and a couple others. So this one's going to be a little bit of a complex enigma, but that's what the whiteboard's for. So, and the little check boxes. As you can tell, I'm super excited about all this because, one, I checked the box of being profitable, and two, now I'm learning how to be more profitable by serving my clients and my members in multiple different ways so that I can make sure that they're getting the highest quality everything, whether it's supplements, food, or I still have a question mark and a few, like three of them for other possibilities. So I'm still in the phase right now where I'm like, okay, let's expand what we offer. And so that I'm very excited about it. And so far the major three ones are supplement sales, meat sales, and meal prep sales. And so that's where we're at right now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot going on. That's pretty awesome. You've got a lot to work for.
I've been a little stressed out.
You need someone to help you out.
Oh yeah. But paying them is the issue. I want to stay profitable.
Yeah, and opening up a commercial kitchen, you're gonna want to find a good spot because I remember trying to help somebody with their meal prep business and do some deliveries and stuff like that. And they
Yeah,
had a kitchen in Valdosta,
we
and
worked together on that.
the wait, what?
Yeah, remember we worked. You brought me in on that.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
both drove.
and that's
Oh
actually
God.
that's actually kind of how I had the idea was that I've already been experiencing seeing the innards of how the operation works. And so now I'm trying to translate that into making sure everything's above board and starting with just my clients and my members and then expanding and using the actual meal prep service as an advertisement for PT&C Gym because some people don't want a gym, they just want meal prep.
Right.
Yeah.
So you got a fridge in your gym?
No, not yet.
Oh, you'll get one, yeah.
It's all up here right
Okay.
now.
Yeah, no, get that fridge in there and then start asking other places if you can put that little fridge in their either gym or, place of business, wherever it is. That'll help a lot.
Oh yeah. So, do you have any? I know that I kind of rambled for about, let's say, 20 minutes there, 15 minutes,
Oh, no.
about the process of the gym. Do you have any clients that are asking any big ticket questions with fitness?
Not really. No, most of the people I have and who I train right now I've trained, like I said, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, a 99-year-old, but yeah, I think I was training a 99-year-old. So just kind of passive people who are just trying to look to either stay in shape, not necessarily bodybuild or anything like that. So it's kind of easy to train them right now. There's not too much stress into making sure that they have a good program. They just want something quick and easy for 30 minutes. So that's where I'm at right now. Nothing crazy. And online, all I'm doing is just creating some workouts that I do myself and that have either worked for others or people liked, and some just something easy. So there's really nothing pressing on my end. It's pretty easy and laid back right now.
So
What about
I
you?
I actually have a client. Let's call him Bob. It says isn't that his name, but I haven't asked permission to talk about him on the podcast by name, so I'm going to call him Bob. Bob has some back issues, and if people have been watching the show, by the way, I don't know if you're listening or watching us, but you can see our beautiful faces on YouTube and Spotify, and anywhere that shows video, because we would get more content out of it by seeing our charm. But
Yeah.
if you're also just listening and you're in the car, just listen, don't watch it, and that is cool too. But Bob has some back issues, and even as a corrective exercise specialist, just because you're a professional and one of the best, you always have to remind yourself that everyone's unique, everyone has their own pace, and even psychologically. Everyone has their own pace. And Bob, he has he had to stand whenever his back flares up. He has to stand in a crooked position with his spine curved. He has to lift his left foot, his left heel up, and he literally has to stand like that for about 5 to 10 minutes. And it used to be like that every single day, multiple times a day. Um, I think I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but he's reported to me that he hasn't had to do that about 4 weeks after we started at all, and he's been pain free. Now that sounds good, and it is, but and this is for fitness professionals out there that are dealing with corrective exercise clients or people with
Old injuries, anything
old
like that.
injuries. I was trying to think of the actual word for it. Contraindictions. Yeah, that's the word. Contraindictions, to where they're limited. Even if they report that they feel better, that's like saying, hey, the medicine's working. Don't stop the medicine though. So we are doing, we're getting into squats, we're getting into deadlifts, but very lightweight. And I have to constantly remind him. He's like, "Oh no, I feel great. I can do this." I'm like, let's still babyfoot it, because you may not feel like you're in pain anymore, but those disalignments and those the new muscle that you've grown to help you realign is still fresh, and your bones are not dense enough to handle what you think you can. Even though you're aligned, you still have not been working out your entire life, and so your bone density is still brittle. And so we need to kind of babyfoot into it. And I say babyfoot, that may sound condescending, but that's just how I say it.
Small steps.
Yeah. And so he wanted to do 25 pounds on each side and do a squat. And it was my job to basically tell him, no, let's actually just do the bar and maybe tens on each side, so that we can still work on pouring cement on the alignment. And it's that kind of holdback that a personal trainer is there for. And so people that go too far into one direction too fast, they will cause injury. And the reason why I'm saying all this is because multiple clients are corrective exercise clients for me, and having to kind of rein them back in is part of the job. But even if you're not a corrective exercise client and you have a whole body, you're posturally aligned, and you are mimicking somebody else's workout, don't jump straight into it and go as hard as possible. You'll actually gain more muscle if you are comfortable during a workout the whole time. Well, not the whole time, but 90% of the time. And then every now and then going to fatigue, every now and then going into your max reps. If you were to, and Olympic training is actually very similar to this idea, where they're working out in their rep range where they can handle it. They're practicing stabilization, perfect form, mind muscle connection, where they're trying to target, and making sure that those muscles are being stimulated rather than the wrong muscles and causing disalignment through an improper form workout. I don't really know where I was trying to go with this, but I did want to say it because it's very important. And I want to bring basically hot topics that happen during my training and like current events into the podcast, because I think they're highly important. So basically, if somebody's starting a new program or they are finding success in a program, that doesn't mean go up by 50% and try that out. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, so you were talking about the corrective exercise for his back. I've got a few different runners, and one of them had some like pretty bad knee pain every time they ran, and we've worked on strengthening their glutes, and a lot of that knee pain has disappeared.
Mhm.
And we've tried multiple different exercises to make sure that we strengthen everything in the hips, in the lumbopelvic hip region, and the lateral parts of the leg, so like the adductors, abductors, making sure that all of that is strong and able to support the knee better. And she has not had a lot of pain when she runs. It's drastically improved, and she's able to now run faster and longer the entire time. So she's doing another marathon, I think another 5K next weekend. So, and she's doing way better than she ever did before she started training with me. So corrective exercises are amazing to do whether you have injuries or not, and you're trying to even prevent anything from happening. I also have another lady who has some horrible neck issues and like some pinched nerves every now and then, or if we do something like upright rows or some heavy rows or anything like that, she starts to get an impingement in that trap around the neck. So what we needed to do was to strengthen her scapulothoracic complex and all that region back there to make sure that the scapula and the mid back was supporting the neck properly. And that's just something that a lot of people don't really work or they overwork. So some people, when they do rows, they tend to either use their lats and not so much the shoulder blades, or they use too much of their shoulder blades and not enough lats. And trying to figure out that difference is very crucial because you don't want to underdevelop something while you're trying to overdevelop something in every single exercise you do. So, face pulls are awesome for people, and scapula retraction exercises are also very good to do. Even if you wanted to combine a scapula retraction with a row and make it two kind of different movements, that's a perfect way to help strengthen that, scapulothoracic region. So,
I'm glad that you listed off the different exercises because when people think corrective exercise, they think rehabilitation exercises where it's just like feet yoga or just doing a glute bridge and just doing one leg in front of the other. Corrective exercise is actually, and this is for the viewers, corrective exercise is actually in every workout that you do if you think about it that way. And if whatever posture that you work out in, that's the posture you're going to develop. And before I add another thing, was there anything else you wanted to add?
well, if you wanted to take it into a more exercises, especially for like the knees, working the glutes, like glute bridges are good, but monster walks, I don't know if you ever do monster walks very often, that hip abductor, adductor is really good. Any kind of single leg stuff is really good. Hyper extensions, but not particularly. So the hyper extension machine is just like that half machine that you kind of like put your heels in, and then you kind of like dip down, and then you kind of come up and you hyperextend the back, and then you go down, hyperextend the back. Well, I'm trying to get people to not just hyperextend the back, but to push their pelvis into the pads.
Mm.
And then if you want to work your back, you can try to finish it out. But trying to just get a pelvic thrust or a pelvic tilt and trying to lift the top of that pelvis as close as you can to squeeze the glutes, that is going to be very beneficial for glute development. But anything like external rotation is going to be also really good, and making sure that your piriformis is not too tight all the time, because a lot of people have a very tight piriformis and that can lead to sciatica and a bunch of other problems. So a little bit of stretching and a little bit of working on, like I said, anything dealing with lateral movements in the glutes, or like leg press is a great glute exercise. I don't know if a lot of people do that, even single leg presses, lunges. These are all very beneficial. Even lunges where you've got a band attached laterally to you. So maybe you have a band attached to your left up against the wall or something, and then you put your right leg in there so that it's pulling your leg inward, and you've got to fight and push it out as you do a step back lunge. These are all very good exercises to do for your knees, and just building a better glute to help support your back and your knees, because everything, like I said, centers. Everything comes from the middle. Everything is centering on the center of your body. So if you can strengthen your core and your glutes, your back and your knees, and everything going outward is going to, you know, be way stronger and way better. So that's really some other exercises and stuff to think about.
That's awesome. I'm glad we're talking about this topic because this is a very important topic. So when somebody finds our podcast and they're thinking, okay, I want to learn how to work out, I want to learn where to start. People usually get advertised to as you need to eat this much and you need to do the king of all exercises and all that. That's actually like the third step. The start is actually corrective exercise. Whenever I bring in a client and let's say Susie wants to lose 20 pounds, the first thing I check is pain. and disalignment and overpronation, things like that. You mentioned that your client, the runner, she has less knee pain, and I kind of want to go in depth of the whys on for the viewers so that they understand more of the importance of the steps to fitness. And in my opinion, the steps of fitness is one, adherence, wanting to, and believing in the process in itself, and actually not just being in the contemplation stage, but actually like, okay, I'm ready. So basically the adherence stage. And then the very next step is corrective exercise. Are you in pain anywhere? Are you disaligned anywhere? Does certain exercises cause you pain, and why? Because if you were to jump straight into heavy lifting or even light lifting with high rep, or you jump straight into the muscle building aspect of fitness, or even the cardio aspect of fitness, which is running, biking, swimming, all that jazz, you're skipping a step, and you're actually, this is one of the main reasons why people who are inexperienced jump into fitness and jump right back out, because they either get an injury or they start to feel pain in places that they weren't expecting, and it makes them scared. It scares them, and it rightfully so. So when it comes to the knee pain, do you mind if I go ahead with that, or do you want
Yeah, go
to?
ahead. No,
Okay,
go ahead.
cool. So when somebody is a runner and they are feeling pain in their knee, or even doing squats and they're feeling pain in their knee because of the squats, or they're doing some kind of leg exercise and they have knee pain, one of the leading causes is overdominant quads, and the over basically reliance on the quads for the movement, when the dominance should actually be balanced between the quads and the glutes, and even maybe even more towards the glutes. And when somebody squats and they lean way too much over, their butt goes up first, and their back stays at the same angle, and they may even lower their angle where their chest goes deeper into the floor and their butt goes up. That's their quads pushing with their knees as the main joint. The reduction of pain is through a number of reasons, and it starts at the feet. Well, it starts at the feet with a telltale sign, and that's overpronation. When someone squeezes in for stability and they rotate in for stability, and they go towards their center line and they're trying to squeeze for stability with their entire leg complex, they are unintentionally making their ankles sag in, they're collapsing their arcs, and they are squeezing with all of their adductors while they're trying to stand up, do a deadlift, a squat, or even that this applies to even running in microbursts, to where all of their internal rotation is causing and you do it over a repeated amount of time, it causes a imbalance and a shortening of muscles, a lengthening of muscles, and you get really strong in all of the squeezing muscles and the outside muscles where their stability is their cause is to stabilize outwards. They're kind of left behind and they're weakened. And so when you internally rotate your legs, your hips actually tilt forward in the front, and causing lordosis, meaning a higher curve in the lumbar spine, the lower back, and it even goes up to a forward lean, forward shoulder, and lordosis in the neck as well. So just through that squeezing motion, a lot of different things happen, all the way to the tip of your head to the bottom of your feet. And one of my biggest selling points and to a new client is immediately making their squat feel better. So somebody comes in and they're like, yeah, I want to lose 20 pounds. And I'm like, all right, cool. We do the full thing. And then, all right, let's do a mobility stability test. So we go over to the grass over there. And I'm like, all right, let's see your squat. And he's like, you're not going to show me? And I'm like, no, I actually want to see how you squat. Because one, if you're doing something right, I don't want to overcomplicate it, and then you overthink it, and then you do it wrong, and you were doing it right in the first place. I just want to see where you're at. And secondly, what I don't say is I want to see what kind of postural deformities you have in that motion. So they do a squat, and 7 times out of 10, there's an internal rotation, there's a sag in the ankles going inwards, and their hips are cocked forward too much. And they have to, because of that, they have to bend over. And I always tell them a squat's not about how low your eyes go, it's how low your tailbone goes. And so they go straight into a internal rotation of the knees. Their butt goes backwards, and then they tip over, and then they come up, and you can see the strain with their lower back because they're trying to banana upwards, and they're trying to come up. And I was like, so how did that feel? And they're like, well, my knees hurt, my ankles hurt, and my lower back hurts, and I think my neck is stiff because of it. And the one simple trick, and it really is I'm like, okay, now I want you to watch me, and we're going to talk about feet placement for a moment. We're going to start it at just a 45-degree outwards foot pattern, or a 30-degree, depending on their height and how wide their feet are, and like where they place their feet for the squat, whether they're doing a sumo squat, an Asian squat, or a regular squat. I call it a 90-degree squat. And we usually try a regular squat, and their feet are placed correctly, which is slightly outward pattern and about armpit length apart with their heels. And I'm like, okay, now what I want you to do is with the gluteus medius and all of the externally rotating muscles, I want you to think of a line, because there is a fascia line that goes down on the outside of your leg. Start from your butt on the left side and the right side, but individually. On the left side, it goes to the side of your knee on the outside. It goes down your shin, crosses over, and then goes up under your arc, helping support your arc and connect it underneath behind the big toe. I want you to think about that line and visualize it. Now I want you to yank it outwards, the whole thing, not just the ankles, not just the knees, not just the hips, all three. I want you to try to rotate them outwards and then try to sit up as straight as possible. You can set your lean first, but I don't want you to move that angle again. Once you set your lean, stay there. Now puff your chest up, bring your shoulders together and down, and then rotate both legs outwards for stability as you go down. And then when you get to the bottom of the squat, make sure it's dead fast applied, because that's when they lose it. They're like, I'm doing it. And then they get down 90%, and that last 10%, they sag inwards and crouch over and do that little trying to pick grass kind of position, and that's where they lose it. So you want to make sure it's applied throughout the whole thing. Rotate your legs out, puff your chest up, shoulders together and down, and then make sure that you're focusing on the arcs. I show them where the arcs are. I show them that when you rotate out, your arc goes up. When we rotate in, your arcs collapse. So we have them support their arcs throughout the entire movement. They come down, they come up, and they hip thrust out of it. Rather than just pressing with their knees, they hip thrust for the main momentum. And the, squat A, which is what they did before, was entirely painful. Squat B, no pain whatsoever, and it felt right. And so that's a big victory for them. If they don't hire me, and if they leave, they know that forever from now on. And that is a life-changing moment just right there. And so the reason why I bring this up is because these small details are part of form, and you have to learn form first. And form is actually the study of stimulation. So if you're stimulating the correct muscles, you're automatically in form. And I'm talking about all the correct muscles, including the stabilizers, everything. And so
properly executing the movement correctly.
right. And so if they are in alignment, they're doing it correctly, but people skip that part, and they are more worried about which exercises they're supposed to do instead of mastering one at a time and trying to make sure that they're posturally aligned during the entire movement. And that will actually make them stronger and more stable in the future without pain. And it's actually a pain preventer, because once you're posturally aligned and then you add muscle, it's like pouring cement over the whole thing, and you're just a safe human being in the gym. So yeah, that was my spiel.
Yeah. No, I mean, you're absolutely right. If they're not executing the movement right, you're going to have some imbalances. And that also includes, where you're applying pressure and how you are descending and ascending in whatever movement you're doing. And just to tap off on the squats, like if you're going down into a squat, like you said, I even like to see people perform a squat just how they naturally do it themselves. Because if they're watching me, some things are going to get a little weird because they're going to try to overcompensate or do something. So I
Right.
want to just see what they're doing and then maybe tweak a thing or two, because changing something out entirely can be a little bit difficult for them to begin with. So maybe seeing how they're going down. Are they going forward as they go down? Are they, you know, not pushing their butt back enough when they go down? Are they pushing their knees out forward, or are the knees buckling in? Like how are their feet? Where are they applying the most pressure in their feet? And is their lower back rounding, or do they have a butt wink when they come up? There's lots of stuff that you want to look for when people are doing an exercise, and that's where we come in. And making sure that the proper form is executed right is, just what we were trying to help you do. There's really not much to talk about, but yeah, if you're looking at somebody, just make sure, if you've got weak glutes, that can lead to very bad knees, and anything to do to strengthen your glutes is going to help. Yeah, that's just random stuff.
No, it's good. The multi-part question that we're basically starting to answer is where do you start? When somebody's coming to our podcast, they're more than likely fitness minded, and they want to learn like the whole process from professionals. And the big question that we just answered is where do you start? And obviously, you start in the mind where you want to do it in the first place. But the real start after that is corrective exercise, learning how to do an exercise that builds your body, but builds it in a posturally good way, and not being so worried about the fat loss and the muscle gain and the strength gain at first, getting the form right first and making sure you are pain free and your future is pain free. That is the place to start. And then after that, then you start asking the question, okay, what kind of program is right for me? What kind of nutrition is right for me? All of the expected questions, but the very first pit stop is posture, and that's basically the whole thing. So I know we talked about corrective exercise quite a bit, and we talked about bodybuilding. Paul, is there anything else that you'd like to bring up in this episode?
If you have any issues regarding your elbows, shoulders, hips, knees, talk to one of us. And if you already are training with Tim, make sure you talk to him and ask him the things that you can do to improve, and he'll walk you through it. Same here. So, you know, we want to make sure that you're doing things properly so that you get healed in a way that is going to benefit you in the long run. So we're going to start you out kind of light to make sure that the movement is correct, and then you can build up from there. But yeah, honestly, if you've got issues, feel free to just message us, talk to us, post a comment on, the video, so one of us can get to you.
So my website, and I definitely want to make sure that they know how to communicate with us. My website has a contact us form. We also have the Facebook group, and the email is at the bottom of every page, and it's a business email, so it'll definitely notify me anytime anyone emails me. Uh, Paul, what's the best way to contact you if they are a client or somebody of interest trying to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so the best way is also through my website, theburnacademy.com. I have a ask me, contact me little form at the very bottom of the homepage. So go there, type it in, ask away, send it to me. I'll get it basically immediately, and I check my email pretty regularly just in case. So yeah, if you've got any questions, head on over to theburnacademy.com and just send me a question. I'm happy to answer and help however I can.
So I'm actually going to add that website to the podcast right now. It's the Burn Academy, AC spell Academy. I'm a science guy.
academy.com.
.com. Okay, I'm going to add that to. There we go. I know we're taking a little pause from the talking, and this is a podcast, but I want to make sure that everyone knows how to contact Paul if they have any questions. There we
Yeah,
go.
even if you feel like the question might be, ridiculous or, a waste of any of our time. It's not. It really isn't. So just feel free to ask because we're more than welcome to help. It's our job to kind of
Yeah,
answer these questions normally.
we've
So,
wrapped our entire
and,
lives around it.
yeah, and we hear them all the time because we see new clients constantly. So just, ask us whatever it is and we'll do our best to kind of help you.
All right. So we're nearing the 55-minute mark. Is there any other remarks that you think that the public can benefit from, or any kind of future things for the podcast, or anything that basically you want to talk about for the next 5 minutes?
Pick up the heaviest thing you can and carry it. And don't be a little wuss. Make sure that you are stressful things happen in life, and the gym gets you through that because the gym is a great way to induce stress that you can manage and get better at handling. And you you have to mentally and physically push in the gym. I constantly say how it's a mental game in the gym. When people start fatiguing, they start to just think, "Oh, I'm getting tired. I can let it out." No, 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 no. It is a mental game. You have to push. You can do it if you truly want to do it. So don't give up. Push. That'll get you mentally and physically stronger, and that'll get you mentally and physically stronger outside of the gym because you're handling stress and you're getting better at adapting to it. And if you don't do that on a regular basis, you're going to become weak. So,
So I actually made a episode on that in season one of Buns and Thighs on how the gym is not just about physical gains, and there are so many. That's a whole topic, and I'd love to talk about them with you on a
yeah.
later podcast episode. There are so many mental and non-tangible gains that you can receive just through starting the fitness journey. People think that it's just, meatheads.com. Don't go to that. I don't know what that is. But they,
You're gonna
they
start having someone head to a little something site, triple X site.
but so yeah, they think it's just about gaining muscle, it's just about getting huge and getting ripped, and all that is great stuff. But uh, there is so many mental wins that you gain from becoming a fitness nut, which is determination. You learn how to handle challenges and overcome them, small victories, large victories, basically an investment mindset. Those are all good mindset things. And then the actual like point blank reaction kind of benefits you get. It helps you deal with depression. It balances your hormones. It makes you happier just as a human being. And the list goes on. That's the tip of the iceberg. When it comes to all the mental and hormonal benefits of lifting weights, doing the correct amount of cardio, doing the correct amount of resistance training, and eating correctly, you will become a new human being. Like my name's Tim, and I was 281 pounds when I was a not corrective, correctional officer in the state of Florida, and I was miserable. And after, I'm a much happier guy now. I can tell you that right now.
Good, good.
And it's because of the lifestyle shift that I did, and going towards being a personal trainer and going towards fitness and gaining muscle, becoming physically healthier. I felt a difference in me. A little bit of we talked about adding depth and getting to know us more between us and the audience. So this is probably going to come up, and I'll state it now. I'm bipolar, and so my hormones are way out there. And one of the best ways that I can deal with that and actually balance more hormones is through resistance training and cardio and eating correctly. If I eat like crap and I'm just a lazy bum and I don't do anything and I start gaining weight, I can feel it. I can feel my hormones getting a little more wacky. And don't worry, I am medicated. But even with the medication, there is still some fluctuation. And I know for a fact when I'm lifting weights on a regular basis and doing the cardio that I do, I need the meds a lot less, and I feel like a normal, happy human being, and it's fantastic. It really is.
Yeah, working out is amazing for your mental health and just physical well-being. Like you were saying, it's great for your hormones. It's great for the different chemicals that are being released basically whenever you're working out. And I've had a lot of people who did have depression that I was training who didn't actually have to take as many meds since they were working out, and even like cholesterol, a whole bunch of other things. Like they didn't have to take it as much because now their body is working for them rather than them being at the the mercy of their own body. They're yeah, yeah.
Side note about cholesterol. I know we're nearing the end, but do you remember Miss Rosner? Somebody I used to train at Premier.
What should look like?
Um, Up in the age, probably around 67 at the time. Brunette, black hair, always super positive. Um, she was
Maybe
around
if I saw her
five
again,
five.
I probably would.
So Miss Rosner she was having trouble with her cholesterol, and the doctor that she went to almost wanted to do a case study. I was not. This was my like first year as a personal trainer. I was if a doctor wanted to do a case study now with one of my clients, I would jump on that. But at the time, I was like, oh, I don't know, like I don't want all the attention. It was like all that, but she entirely balanced her cholesterol just through resistance training, and starting
Yes.
actual resistance training within 6 weeks, because she gets her cholesterol checked regularly, and it was very high. Her LDL and her HDL was completely like imbalanced, and then they both got to the 70s. And I was like, whoa. At the time, I didn't know how significant that was, because a lot of people, they think that red meat and resistance training and all the manly type of workouts will actually make your cholesterol suffer. And I'm not talking about fitness enthusiasts. I'm talking about just the public, the people that don't know and are subject to basically the marketing schemes of all of America. They associate with high cholesterol with being, bulky and heavy lifting and all that. And that was my first experience with some of the non-mainstream benefits of resistance training, and it blew me out of the water. And it's still an example that I use today to convince people of the benefits of resistance training. Is if you want to balance your cholesterol, lift weights. Like that's and lift weights and eat towards muscle building. Eat healthy towards muscle building, and the cholesterol will actually take care of itself.
Yes. Yeah, you got to have a healthy diet. You cannot out train a bad diet, but
Right.
working out and all of that will help the cholesterol, big time.
All right. So it's at an hour and 2 minutes. I think today was a great session. Is there anything session episode? Sorry,
Yeah.
personal
Yeah.
trainer brain. Is there anything that you want to add before we wrap it up?
Nope. Just talk to us if you've got any questions. Like
Okay.
we are here to help.
So we're going to end the podcast here. Remember, this is a personal trainer company, Buns and Thighs Podcast, paired with Burn Academy, ran by Paul Blackburn, and we are here to help. We offer tons of information out there for free, and then if you want to excel and go further into it, we do have paid services that are entirely worth it. So have a great day, y'all, and I'm going to end it here. Have a good day. Bye. And